There was a recent phenomenon of this story that went viral. I think it was a Twitter post about given the choice, which would win, a silverback gorilla or 100 men fighting against it. And people were divided and having debate all week long. It started in a sauna at the East Bank Club in my life. And before I knew it, was a worldwide phenomenon. People asking each other and pondering which was the right answer. It was kind of interesting because it made us wonder: is there really a right answer, or is it just simply our opinion? Here in Illinois, we have the pleasure of having Mr. Pritzker weighing in this week with his opinion, and he was calling us to get on the streets and protest.
Never in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption, but I am now.
I don't know, given the choice between the silverback gorilla or President Pritzker or Governor Pritzker, I guess I'll go with the silverback gorilla. Welcome. Welcome to Conservative Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. This week I had the pleasure of going to a Rotary for Business meeting at the Union League Club with my friend Allison Lyon, and it's a presentation on financial investing and planning for high net worth individuals. And the takeaway from that were my notes about how a lot of people are in a unexpected long-term relationship with diminishing return. Last week I went to a Goodman Theater production of Bust. I was dragged to this production. I had no idea what it was about, and it was only almost halfway through the production that I realized it was a story of being busted amongst Black people in Alabama. This opening scene is a family witnessing a stop and frisk incident. All the reviewer in the Sun Times said the all too familiar scene, which ended badly. It also had a classroom scene of students in I guess, a cliche abusive relationship with their teacher. This was actually a comedy because it was so exaggerated and had a comic edge, even though it had kind of some serious undertones. The only white person or white persons was one of these, the police officer and the school teacher. This guy's actually Hispanic. The entire cast was either Black or Hispanic, except for the two white people. But I said it took me halfway through the play to catch on to that fact. The basic premise was that the Black people in this drama were so angry, frustrated, that they literally busted. They exploded out of this dimension and then blasted into an alternate dimension where everything was wonderful. Everything was how they expected it to be, wanted it to be, and what their fondest dreams were. In that dimension, they discussed that it wasn't the afterlife. They weren't dead. They were just in a different context. They were out of our current context of social cultural norms, and they were in a special place that I guess we're all looking for at some time in our life. It paralleled in my mind to the story of the Wizard of Oz. We all have this imagined ideal of what it's going to be like for everything to be perfect, but we never seem to get there. And if we get near it, we just want to go home. Ironically, recently this week I visited the new Lugano jewelry store on East Oak Street. This is a high-end jewelry store, which is decked out like a living room with a dining room, seating area, and display cases just off in a very indiscreet way off to the side with colored, their specialty is colored stones, pink and blue and green, and unusual metals, which also happen to have a colorful tint. I was actually had the pleasure of talking to the national sales development manager, and she explained to me that before they opened here in Chicago, she did scout out the market by visiting all the comparable jewelers in the area and asked them, like, well, I really like this bracelet you're showing me, but can I get it in two strands instead of three? And the answer was no. When she asked about a necklace at Van Cleef and Arpels, if she could have a couple of the pendants removed and something else altered with it, she was confronted again with the very strong and firm no. And she quickly caught on, in her estimation, in her opinion, that Chicago has a strong ingrained culture of no. And the Lugano brand, as she explained to me, has a decided culture of yes. She said anything they can do to move the conversation and the narrative and the conclusion to a yes, toward a yes, is usually a win-win for everybody. Beautiful stones, beautiful gems, beautiful jewelry at Lugano. And again, I certainly appreciated the takeaway. Um, Not to say that any place is just one thing. Chicago obviously is a terrific city. It's not all a no, but we could be aware of it when we're perpetrating the no and when we're maybe at the losing end of the proposition of a no culture. Recently, in our no culture of the national politics, Mr. Trump was portrayed in the New York Times as slipping in the polls, popularity polls. But there's always a disconnect between, people's wishes and desires and the reality where they're living and where they want to be. Um, in the Bible, we have a loving and also kind of a stern God. We have two different stories going on at the same time. If you took a poll of people's opinion of the Bible at various stages in history, I think he might have been slipping in the polls a number of times. In this interesting article in the New York Times, it said that Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that he's more interested in the real numbers as opposed to people's consumer sentiment, what they're going to tell you in the poll. And the real numbers, according to Mr. Bessent, show the strong economy. Consumer spending is still up, and consumer attitudes are still moving in a positive direction. Also, many of the gains or losses from the recent stock market dips, ups and downs, have been recuperated. Almost all of them have been recuperated. And he said, unlike the losses, none of the gains have been reported. And he also commented that a lot of these trade deals that are in progress are getting very near conclusion. So we will be having some more favorable trade deals on the books very, very soon. And again, that's a story that's underreported. So positive sign out of a kind of a no negative storyline, a positive messaging can be seen as emerging. This was amusing to me as far as a loving God versus a stern God. New York Times shared this. I mean, it's almost as campy and as amusing as the play at the Goodman. Trump says he could free the wrongly deported man, but he won't. uh, I think anybody who's been in an emergency room or a deathbed scene, we do wonder, we ponder in the world we live in, why God doesn't intervene and alleviate pain and suffering. We just came out of the Easter season, and I think the narrative is that he has, and he continues to do so. Recently, Governor Pritzker here in Illinois was on a newscast and was talking to the kind of lambasting the Democrat Party for their numerous failures, and some of those were being satisfied with what he called incremental gains and tired platitudes that just don't work anymore. They aren't working fast enough. A lot of what he was talking about was kind of similar to Mr. Trump's style of enough already. Let's move on. Let's make some changes. Let's get somewhere. Kind of a disturbing the apple cart approach, which is what Mr. Pritzker was advocating for, which was pretty much the Trump playbook. But given the choice between the gorilla or the 100 men, or given a choice between President Trump or President Pritzker, I think I'm going to stick with President Trump. If you would like to join us at Conservative Coffee Hour is every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. Be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.